guys. Sorry, my camera just like moved high. I just got my car tinted. I also just figured out like other shit that, you know what I mean, that I had to figure out with the car, but pretty much just answers. I'm receiving answers after being patient, and I've noticed that like that's like kind of like the answer, not the answer, but the key, you know what I mean? It's like really just being patient. Ask, right? Knowing that you're going to receive and just being patient for it. And I do not know why. And it might be just simply because of like, especially like our generation, you know what I mean? Like we're so used to being able to just get shit, you know what I mean? Like, just, you know, we want it, we can literally, if we have it, we can get it, you know what I mean? Or we can also just find ways to, you know, to get it, you know? But I'm kind of understanding and realizing that the whole kind of like detriment to gaining things quickly is not, you didn't give yourself time to understand why you wanted it to begin with, right? And so when you find yourself that you have like a dream, like a want, a purpose, or like a, you know, something that drives you, something that, you know, makes you want to, like, you know, wake up every day and work hard, and no matter what like you go through, you're gonna succeed, you're gonna make it to where you want to be at, right? Our purpose, our dream. Because I had a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and I was like, you know, for most people, and it makes me really sad to say, but because like I was even, you know, in that same type of detriment as well, and obviously like you do too, because like we lived a blueprint of a life, you know what I mean, but not necessarily the same life. And with that blueprint is what I'm speaking about, is about, you know, you wake up one day, you tap into consciousness, you're born, you know, you're born without any thought, reason, or thoughts or reason. You're here. And then after that, you're taught, like, okay, you're going to school, you know what I mean? Like, now you're doing this, now you're doing that. In school, they don't even, actually, you know, when I think about, like, growing up and school, they didn't even really, like, people didn't really fucking ask me, like, what I, or who I was, who I wanted. They asked me, they always ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that is in a category of, like, how do you want to serve your country? How do you want to be a chess piece to the game of capitalism, of the, you know, the rich game, you know what I mean, like of this illusion that we kind of live in. It's a dystopia. Just saying, it's a dystopia. You don't fucking like it here, you know what I mean? It's not saying that it's like the best thing, but, or sorry, not the worst thing. There's definitely worse places to be. Shit, in space, we can't even breathe in space. So like, the fact that you're alive in itself is a blessing, and let's recognize that, because like there's people that have went through fucking Nazi camps and still recognized hope, and still recognized love, and still recognized peace. So like, the fact that there's people that were surrounded by chaos and by hate, and they still found love within themselves, that is literally all it is to it. And so and I'm speaking to you as a sinner, right? I'm speaking to you as like a person that was born thinking that, you know, like I was a sinner, you know what I mean? I've done things in my life that I have like big regrets on, and and like it's like such big regrets that the people that I've hurt, they also told me that they wish that I didn't even do those fucking things, and that sucks, you know what I mean? But like at the same time, due to me like going through such a process of like really being my shadow, and like really like, you know, understanding what it means to hurt people, I realized that I didn't want to hurt people because I was hurt, and because I didn't understand who I was and what I was doing and my emotions. So a lot of going back to the school topic of like, hey, like most people, they do not ask you who you are, but they ask you who you want to be. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's the whole purpose of why Socrates got fucking, you know what I mean, why he had to drink, because he was asking people the genuine questions that we need to ask, that people are too afraid to ask themselves, and most importantly, questions that are too scary to find answers to. And I'm here to find answers to that, because when I was lost, when I was in my shadow and I acted out of pain, out of, you know what I mean, out of desire, you know what I mean, like out of wants, not needs, you know what I mean, but thinking that my wants were needs, I hurt so many people, shit, myself even, throughout it all. And I'm not here to be like, to give myself a pity party, because I worked on myself throughout the time, you know, like where I really like kind of like sat down with myself and was like, okay, I kind of need to figure out what it is about myself that is just not settled at all and not happy at all, and it's still hurt, and due to that hurt, it's still acting out and hurting other people that I don't want to hurt, and I never did have intentions on hurting. And but the past is how it happened, and obviously I'm here now, you know, speaking to you now, like the things that happened in the past leads me here to tell you, or to talk to you, to be human to human, you know what I mean, like, you know, heart to heart, you know what I mean. And I'm hearing like the heart part sticks in my head right now, like use your heart and not your mind, you know what I mean. Because when you start to understand your body, when you start thinking outside of the mind, and because the mind works on a construct of beliefs, programs, and of what it knows. There's a lot of things, most of your answers and mostly the things that you're looking for are inside and not necessarily outside, but we're so taught to find answers outside, you know, that we end up limiting ourselves. Scholars are limited by the information and just by the information that they have found, and that they have not found yet. And the only things that they hold to on concrete to is what's on paper and what's on, you know what I mean, what's factual, what is deemed to have a signature to be deemed as a fact, right? That's what scholars are all about. They read, teach, they regurgitate, you know what I mean, things that are already being said once again, more and more once again, and they restudy and they drill it into themselves as to this is truth. The difference between me and you and scholars and all that is that sorry, I keep seeing feathers and like feather drops with no birds around, and it's weird. I'm like genuinely looking, and I live a mystical life. I'm expecting mystical things to happen all the time. You know what I mean? But the difference between me and you as an artist, creative, versus a scholar is that our information, like within, like spiritual, like deeply, is limitless, and it's not limited to what has already been found and defined. Our inner truth, they cling onto the outer truth of man. They cling onto the truth of man. We cling onto the truth of spirit and the soul. And there you find yourself, and that is where your truth truly lies in. And I am still on the discovery of figuring out like how developing my truth. I want to say not because I figured out what it is for me to live. I understand that I live this life to play, like to create. That's what I'm down here for. Regardless if I become famous, regardless if I become rich, regardless of whatever the fuck, right? I could post 100 plus, you know what I mean, of these videos, and if I still end up with just the just me and myself and I, in spirit, so like the 4 subscribers that I have, you know what I mean, like, then so be it. Like I know that in here, like I know that in my own self, in my own life, in my own truth, I dedicated my life to play. I dedicated my life to working on like being artistic in any way that I can be, in ways that I integrate, you know what I mean? Like I dedicated myself to growing, learning my integrity, my morality, growing that integrity, understanding my morality, holding on to that, and also evolving it, going back and healing, understanding, and just pushing the metric. But also understanding that at the end of the day, I am just a man. I am just a human. I am just a being, and I may be a divine creation, but I have my limits. And at the end of the day, like my own personal limits, I know I was just saying like the truth wise, you know what I mean? The truth is not limited, but you're a human. There's very things, you know, you physically can and can't do. You know what I mean? Like there's things that you genuinely need help, but in that asking for help, and I say that as 1111, I feel like that's one of my karmic lessons to learn, is asking for help, because I'm such a person that is like, I'll just do it myself. I'll just, you know what I mean? Like that's just how I always have been. Obviously that stems down from maternal and parental wounds, you know what I mean? Of like, well, I always kind of felt like I should, so I'm going to, or I had the expectation around me that like I should be doing this by myself and I should have the strength. So like I mentally programmed myself to think like, okay, everything that I go through, no matter if it's new or not, no matter if it's scary or not, I should be able to know how to do it by myself. And obviously that's limited, because being limitless means that there's so much love around me that I can ask for help and not feel like a burden, not feel like I'm an annoying spot, you know, for them, or like a hindrance for them for anyone. It's not just talking about like family, just anyone to help me in ways, because they also know that I'm not the type of person that asks for help. So like if I ask for help, it's because I had lowered my pride immensely, and in that of me lowering my pride, I am rewarded. You know what I'm saying? Like you will be rewarded for lowering your pride in any situation, in any form or way that is, that you see your pride, you know, guarding you, shielding you. And literally, I feel like that's also like a deeper level to the idea of Lucifer and why he fell. It's simply because his pride was such a shield, such a defense mechanism against the love of the idea of what God had for everything else, of his own plan and ideas. He was like, fuck that, I'm gonna do my own shit. You know what I mean? And he created his own hell. And I feel like that's what I would be doing too, and that's what I did. You know what I mean? I said that I could do this by myself, without God, without life, without anyone. Shit, I even pushed my parents away. You know what I mean? And I even pushed God away at a very young age. And like healing brought them back into my life, and bringing my own self back, and I just rediscovered my inner child, and with that, discovering what it like life truly means for me to live. But there was a period in my life that I rejected it all. I rejected it all and understood Satan. I rejected it all and understood Lucifer. I understood his philosophy. I understood where his pain was coming from. And his pain was coming from the idea that, and I say because it was idea, because like I said, it was a perspective, and that he sees now that it wasn't. But he had the idea, the thought that he was less than one, and that there was something greater than others, and he had a pride to where he felt like, yes, because he felt, you know, he was, besides Michael, lore-wise or whatever, besides Michael, besides Jesus, Lucifer was whenever he was in the rankings of angels, he was one of the strongest. He was one of, if anything, he was the most beautiful. And he had it all. He was pretty much like, if you want to say, bro, at that time, Lucifer was like, he was what he thought he could have been. Jesus was already was. He wanted to be like Jesus. And whenever God kept talking about the idea of Lucifer, or not the idea of Lucifer, but the idea of Jesus and what Jesus will be doing in the heaven on earth and humans, oh fuck, do they hate us? You know what I mean? Apparently to Christian lore, like, angels do not like us at all, like, or they voted against us. And not even Mother Earth really wanted us to be a creation of being, because look, we did a lot of damage in the short amount of time. I just want to clarify, we haven't been here for as long as the universe, as life has existed. And that short amount of time that we've been here, we fucked so much up. And because I'm human, I'm not gonna like be like, oh, it wasn't because I was in the past or whatever. We're still to this day, as of 2025, still fucking shit up. You know what I mean? I'm in a car right now with my car on, because if I have my car off, like, you know what I mean? I won't be able to record these videos. But I also understand that, like, you know, the gas that's emitting and all that shit, that's technically harmful to the world, to the oxygen that we breathe. So yeah, you know what I mean? But with that consideration, there was still such an, I want you to understand that at the end of the day, there was an entire being, like, there was an entire collective beyond physical, like, beyond human, like, beyond humans, that did not want us, that did not want you to exist, that did not want me to exist. And yet there was such a greater love that it happened, that thy will be done. And it happened anyways. You were right here watching this video, and I'm right here making it. No matter what the fuck did not want us to be here, or how it happened. So it's just like, and you're gonna have these people, and I'm talking to myself when I say this, you're gonna have these people tell you that you can or cannot be, when there is literal ancestral beings that did not want you to exist, and you still exist and you still happen. Think about it. Think about it. The fact that, yes, there's some people out there that, you know, they've done some things that we could say that they don't deserve to live. But as humans, we kind of gave ourselves that type of power and right to say that we can take lives away from, if they are shitty enough, we can kill them. Oh, they're bad enough, we can kill them. There was a point in time, there was a law, bounty hunting, right? Bounty hunting, right? Think about it. There was a point in time where people wanted people to be as shit. They wanted the government to allow them legally, mind you, to go out and find people that were condemned as horrible people, so they can have the thrill and the excitement and the I can kill this person, I can act on this desire without being arrested, without looking at a certain way. And in fact, if I do enact on this desire, I will be condemned. I will be, or not more so condemned, but I will be praised as a hero. Think about that. Like, let's not bring politics into it, but let's say, right, there's an obvious amount of hate around Trump. If I had killed Trump, no matter how much I care or don't care about politics, if I had killed Trump, there's going to be a good amount of people that will say that I was a hero, a savior. That's what they did with Luigi, right? But there's going to be another good amount of people that is like, what makes you feel like you have the right to do that? And mind you, we live a life it's just a construct of paradox. There's so many situations in the past and now and eventually in the future where murder and crime may teeter around the lines of justice or injustice. And it really is just your perspective and how you want to see it and how you feel as such of what things that needed to be done or what doesn't need to be done. You know, I feel like if there's people out there that feel like they don't have the right to take other lives away from other people, no matter how shitty it is for them people to live their lives in that way, then there's other people, there's inevitably, I know people now, like one of my closest friends feel the exact same way, of where they feel like they are meant to bring anarchy, or not in a negative way, but they don't like authority and they want peace. But whenever I have conversations with them about if they were like, you know, if they had a conversation, they were like, if I was a jester and, you know, I would kill the king, lay his head out in the middle of the village and leave it as a warning. But a warning to what? To fear you now? You know what I mean? If someone wanted to step into a power or stepped into a position, because mind you, there is how humans work, and there is how it is. If you're not, all right, here it is. This is what it is. There's a lot of people that are not emperors or empress, you know, for their own kingdom, which is their own, like inside themselves, their own heaven on earth, like within themselves, within their own minds. So we naturally have to have positions of power that are like that into our world. But imagine if we lived a world where everyone had their own type of sovereignty, and they understood that they didn't have to act out in certain ways to get what they may think that they want, and recognize of the things that they have and need, and recognize that, like, you know, if this person isn't my enemy, this person is here to help me out, and recognize something. And maybe the idea of not having authority in that sense could work. But inevitably, no matter, we as humans don't know how to work as one, and that's just something that we don't know fully yet. We know how to do it. There's times where you've done it, I've done it, but collectively, naturally, you know what I mean? We don't know how to work like ants. We aren't naturally born and be like, all right, we're serving to this higher good. We're all working for this higher good. And that's just what we are here to do. And for that, you find your own truth and purpose. But for us humans, we are taught, literally programmed to fear others, because we don't know what they are. We don't know what they do. This world is ugly. This world is cruel. This world is evil. And the more that we collectively believe in that type of world, the more that we will live in it. And the people that believe in peace are now being considered naive. The people that believe in love are now considered naive. The people that believe in their own spirit and truth are now considered naive. And it's no longer I'm a pessimist. I'm just a realist, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm just telling you how it is. That's just what you believe it to be. And, you know, you live the life that you want to live. You live in the world that you want to live in, that you want to believe in, that you want to accept. Yeah, fuck, bro, shit can happen to you. But do you want to accept that as truth? Or do you just want to accept that as an experience? And you want to continuously use that to develop and evolve your truth? Of like, hey, that shit fucking hurt, but I know how that hurts. I'm not going to involve that. I'm not going to put that onto somebody because I know how much that hurts. I already spoke about this type of content, but that's just how it is. You go through certain things in your life and you will continuously do that. I'm speaking to myself. I will continuously be going through certain experiences in my life that will evolve my truth. Good or bad. Happy or sad. They're both needed. I'm a fucking black and white piano key, bro. Like, look, you know what I mean? I need them both to be able to play a beautiful piece music, to be able to be a song of God. I need my black and white keys. Come on, bro. So, figure out who you are, not what you want to be. Because who you are is what to be. You know what I mean? Like, there is no, oh, you are not a fucking, like, astronaut. Dude, you're Carl. You know what I'm saying? And you love space and astrology, and you want to explore it. And there's deeper things that you want to know about it. And then that leads to your inner truth, because why? Why does space, why does astrology, why does all of this cosmic joke inspire you so much to live? Why? Because it's connected to your truth. It's connected to who you are deep down. And eventually you're gonna take off that layer and you'll be like, I'm not even Carl, bro. I just love to live the life that I live. And I'm here, and I'm gonna make the most out of it. And I'm going to pass on. I'm gonna, use the knowledge that I have, leave off the knowledge, hopefully teach through ways of being, example. Being a teacher is being an example. You don't need to have a fucking scholar to be a teacher. You just have to be an example. People watch. When I know this for a fact, people watch all the time, especially when you don't think so. So, who are you? Like that quote, who are you whenever you're by yourself, when no one's around? And every day I work hard to keep up and to strengthen my integrity, because it's important. And every day I take time to figure out what it means for me to be who I am. Shit, I was born with two names, right? Ark Jamar. I grew up like not liking the name Ark at all. I'm now finally accepting my name. Isn't that crazy? I'm gonna be turning 23 in December of this year, and I'm now accepting like my name. Like, what? I'm now accepting Ark, and I'm using it artistically. And when I used to tell people that, like, that was like my name or whatever, and they would be like, why don't you ever use it? That shit's cool as fuck. And I was just like, I don't like it. And that name came from a vision. You know what I mean? Like, it came from a vision. It was divinely gifted to me. And I rejected it. I'm now accepting my name. I'm now accepting who I am. I'm now accepting me, my truths. So, yeah, I don't know. I felt like that's just what I wanted to speak to you guys about. Just figuring out who you are, because there's, you go through this, going back down to it, you go through this period of life. You're just born, you're conscious, you go through the system, but they never ask you. And if it's a blessing that it is, you find someone that does ask you. And it's a bigger blessing that you even ponder on it, because most people can just be like, oh, I don't know, and then they just, fuck off. But when life finally hits you, and most people, that's that midlife crisis. That's like 30 years or something like that. You see it happen all the fucking time. Eventually, life is going to ask you, who are you? It's just going to be a door that eventually you're going to run into. And it's going to be scary. Because it's like, as soon as you open the door, it's like, there's nothing on, it's like, just black, just a void. You know what I mean? Like, on the other side. And it takes faith, it takes trust to dive into your unknown depths. Because it's really just figuring out who you are. That's what it is. Why are we so scared of the dark? It's because we don't know. That's it. It's either there's something in there or there's not, and that's it. That's why we're so scared, is because we don't know. And knowing, I feel like knowing and education and knowing is a crutch that as humans we hold on to for survival, and after that for comfortability, stagnancy. Eventually we have to embrace the unknown and know how to ride that wind. And that's when you're like really gonna start falling in love with life. When you start allowing yourself to have experiences that it's not, you're just ordained or mundane as Monday through fucking Sunday, and you start having these weird spontaneities, or you start allowing your brain, you start leaning into that curiosity more, you will be rewarded, bro. You will be. I'll be honest right here. I'll speak to you. I've been like having the thought of like, I've met people, like I recently met a friend that literally like ran away from a state that he was at to where I'm at now, and he had no connections down where I'm at, and he now has a home, a job, like resources. Like, he was literally rewarded by choosing him. Doechii is a big example for everybody right now. It's really cool. But her story, and I think this shit's funny and comical, because she literally got an audition for The Voice, got the ticket, flew out to New York, didn't buy a ticket back. And I'm laughing because like I have the same audacity too. Didn't have the ticket back, and because she full on expected of winning that voice of The Voice, gaining that audition, like winning that audition, and everything just falling out for her, sorry. Like after that she's gonna win, and then after that she's gonna, the money from winning and the tickets and connections, all that, everything that comes along with that. That's what she thought was gonna happen. She didn't win. She ended up having to sleep, as far as I know of. Like, I wasn't there, but like based off of the videos and like the story that I have seen, and I haven't personally spoken to her either, obviously, but she woke up, or she had to sleep in a McDonald's, and she was homeless for a while. But she managed to make connections in New York, where, as far as I know of, she didn't have much connections over there. So, and I've been in New York before, and that's brave, that's courageous to do, to anywhere, honestly. And she ended up finding a place, roommates, a job, and it all ended up leading her to where she's at now. And I've had thoughts of doing the exact same thing. So I'm like, fuck, like, I'm looking at all these people that it worked out for them, and like, maybe it'll work out for me too. But I live a different story on that type of shit too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm also like, I also have different things that are going on. So but I also know that, like, just because my journey is different doesn't mean that I'll end up to my highest good, right? Just because I didn't decide to take that leap of faith in that way, doesn't mean that I won't gain the success, the love, the things that I want in my life. Because everyone has their own journey and ways of having it happen. And I feel like right now in my life, I have such a big grasp. I know this is like a long ass video. I have such a big grasp on like career and finance, and figure out who I like, and always figuring out who I am growing up. But I already know my passions and shit like that, and what I want to do. That it doesn't matter like how long I live. I know I will always be working, and inevitably my fucking goals are going to happen. And like, that's just inevitable. But life is teaching me about love right now. Yeah, that's because that's something that I do not have a grasp on. And it's teaching me things that I know I need to know and learn. So that I could accept to be my highest self. My highest good knows that at the end of the day, I don't want to be surrounded by riches and bitches. My highest good knows that at the end of the day, I would want to be surrounded by love. So, yeah, I'm still wrestling with that. My ego still wrestles. But that is also just a lifelong journey, you know. The things that you think you've healed from will always come back around somewhere and remind you and check. But it's like you never have to look at it as stay away from me. You know what I mean? More so like, oh, okay, yeah, that's right, that is a part of me. Like I said, the black and white keys. But I understand you now, so I no longer fear you, or I understand you now. You no longer have power over me. You know what I mean? I just understand what lesson that you're trying to teach me, or what you're trying to show of where I'm becoming too. What am I feeding too much into? Am I looking at life right now more half full or half empty? What is these aspects of myself teaching me of, or giving me warning signs? You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're the car, there's check engine lights, there's check these things, and your emotions are a big key. Your heart is a big key of that. So, you know, your battery needs an alternator. Your battery can't do it by itself. Quite literally. Fun fact, the only way I know that is because my car that I had in my past, I had to replace an alternator for my first car, and that's when I learned that batteries cannot do it by themselves. Because you need an alternator. Your alternator is fucked, or your battery's fucked. You want to hope that your battery is fucked, not your alternator. So, like, just a little, like, fun fact about life, or in the material way. But the car needs both. The engine needs both. The battery cannot do it by itself. The battery cannot operate the entire car machine engine by itself. It needs an alternator. You need something. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you need love in this life. So, for the whole engine to work, you know, because the battery just drains super quickly, get burnt out super quickly, and it'll just be useless. And then the entire car won't work. Okay, but yeah, I feel like that was it. I feel like that was it. I feel settled now. I feel good now, and I'm becoming a lot more comfortable doing this. Have you seen? Can't you see? I can see. You know what I mean? And